in the world, and welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity.
Yeah.
And it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you Grandmother BJ Tankersley. She
Thank
is
you.
here with us, and Grandmother, I'm going to actually defer to you to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience.
Okay. I'm BJ. The reason I go by BJ, that's my initials, because when I started out, my mother said you need to get a good job and you need to make money. So I went and got a design engineering drafter certification. And when I walked into Los Alamos, my supervisor says, you should go by your initials. That way, when you hand them a resume, they will interview you. Because if you go by your name, Betty, they're not going to do that. This was back in 72, maybe earlier than that. But so that's why I go by BJ. And
Wow.
So beautiful and joyous. There's all kinds of things that can go along with that name. And I've had them all attached. So it's been fun. So it's a fun name, but it's what I go by.
Okay. And
BJ.
I also introduced you as grandmother. And do you want to share what that title means? Because some people just say, oh, it's just that I'm a maternal grandmother, but it's a little bit more than that.
I've sundanced 28 years. I have my brother passed the medicine back to me to facilitate the Sundance, and I did that for 7 years. So where we're at is part of that is doing the work that's been talked about. We're in the 8th year of 1,000 years of peace, going into 9. And so I've been sundancing for a long time and doing the spiritual work. I've raced cars. I've done all kinds of things. So I've got a real wide avenue of how people think and how they behave, how they process all that from just my own life experiences. But so that's where I'm at.
So take us a little bit through your story, because it's really important to understand how your culture and how your spirituality helps shape that which you embark on. So talk to us a little bit.
Well, let's see. I was born in 46. My mother was born in 1905, and she was the baby of the whole tribe, bunch of people. My family was from San Luis Valley, and my grandmother had a lot of children, 16, I think. Anyway, it was a lot of children. She had a lot of children back then. They need them to work the sheep farm. So I grew up in New Mexico and all around that area in Albuquerque, and worked at Los Alamos, did all kinds of stuff. I was born in Pueblo, which was one of the biggest cities that was started way back when. And so my journey was to just keep following whatever it was. I scared the hell out of my mother. She put me in boarding schools, which then that introduced from our Dene. My great grandmother was a Dene, which they call, the white people call them Navajos. We ain't no Navajos. We know hoes, sorry, but we're Dene. So I have that heritage. I have the Spanish, and then I have the Scotch Irish. So I'm like a mixed blood. And she put me in the boarding schools, and then I wound up, she sent me to my brother in California, and I said, I'm not doing this. So I talked my boyfriend in and his mother for us to get married. So I got married at 16 because I was done being shipped off. And so I had a lot of visions and a lot of interesting things. What really was, I scared my mother. It really scared her because of the things I could see and hear and do and stuff like that. It scared her. So that's what she did with me. So I did the work, a lot of work. I raced cars. I did all kinds of things like that. And from that point, then I met the indigenous elders, Wallace Black Elk and Buck Ghost Horse. And I studied with them for 40 some years. And then when we completed the 7th year of Sundance, they said, it's time for you to go out and do your work. So that's where I've been doing is my work. My oldest son just crossed 3 months ago. Him and I did all these ceremonies together. And now I have the vision of the Seven Nations Children's Dance. And that means a lot of people got to be trained to do this dance. And it's coming in what it is. And the one thing that grandfather passed to me, because the men, when the Europeans came over here to Turtle Island, this was all matriarch from head to toe. And
Yeah.
so what they did was they passed the medicine to the men, because if they would have kept it, they would have all been killed. I mean, that was 700
Yeah.
years ago, crazy. So we only have 700 years of crazy to clean up here. So
Only
you guys
700.
get the rest of the work, No, I'm joking.
So I'm going to grab your conversation, and I want to take you back a little bit, because you glossed over a lot of things, and I understand what you mean, but a lot of people will not catch what you really mean. First of all, you dance Sundance, and
Right.
I understand what Sundance is, but Sundance is no joke. To
No.
participate in Sundance is a huge honor, first of all, and the second of all, the courageousness and the strength that it takes to suffer for the people. To will you talk a little bit about Sundance and what it meant to you and why participate in it?
Well, when I met Buck Ghost Horse, he was just doing sweat lodges, and he did the woman's ceremony for us, which was incredible, where all of us women got honored and respected, and was able to say, put down your fears and stand in your power, because you guys are the life givers. Every human being comes from a woman's womb.
That's right.
And so part of that was the men came, and they've been in the developmental stage of both sides of their brain. So when the Europeans came over, they passed the grandmothers passed the medicine to the men, and they had been preparing, because they knew this was coming. So that Sundance had been going on for years, and the sweat lodge is for the men, so that they could understand what it is to give birth. That's
Right.
what the lodge was. The lodge was built for them. The Sundance was built for the men also, to understand what it is to be a life giver. So when they pierce and tie to the tree with those ropes, that represents the umbilical cord. And they wear the skirt so that it represents that energy coming up through their penis. But for the women, it comes up through our womb. And
Yes.
so when they lay out that Sundance, the where they plant the tree, it's in the shape of the vagina. And they put blood and water and food in there. And then the men and the whole people go get the tree, and they plant the tree, which then is how we co-create. Because way before the men were around, we didn't need to have sperm or do that.
Right.
But so anyway, so that represents everything about the Sundance represents life. So if you were to lay it out, how that looks, where the tree goes and it's in the shape of the vagina, the tree goes in that hole, and laying down is the woman. So her breasts are the rest arbor, the sweat lodges, the two sweat lodges, and the fire is her head. And then that represents the female and the male coming together to be a part of the healing. So it's so in depth. There's not there. It's in depth. It talks about, and it shows us how to be in community, and how the 4 days of Sundance and the 4 rounds, how we live our lives. It's a representation of life, of how we started, how we began, how we continue to move forward. And so with all that process, it's years of understanding, but because you're reviewing all the knowledge of everything.
Right.
And so that's what the dance represents that. And when the men pierce and tie to the tree, it's so that they know what it feels to give birth to a child. It's everything that's done there is symbolic. How the people come together. All the people on the outside don't get any sleep.
Right.
Because they're cooking food and eating and all that. And all the people inside that are dancing are sleepy. So it's that balance. Everything about the Sundance shows us how to walk in balance. That is the big thing about it.
And from a matriarchal point of view, that
Mhm.
that is phenomenal. that people don't really grasp, because they hear Sundance and they hear about piercings and taking it out of context. No one really understood that it's a matriarchal symbolism, and ceremony.
And it's a
So
ceremony. Yeah. So that so when the men pierce, that's so that they can really understand what it is to
yeah,
give life and to really understand how that all feels. And then what's really exciting, on the third day, third round, depending on who's running it, it's the healing day. And in that
right.
third day comes the Heoka.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we've been walking through is just a foreplay and a preview and a view of what's going on in the world. That's what the Sundance shows us. So on the third day, the third round, the Heoka comes in. Well, we have one running around now. This
Okay.
is his second term. So
Okay.
that shows us that, and I hear a lot of people, oh, it's all horrible, we're going to die, blah, blah. They're all freaking out. Well, what are you going
Yeah.
to do to be a part of the change? Well, one of the things the dance teaches us during that round, stay focused on your prayer, pay attention, be aware, but do not get distracted from your path. Do not
Right.
do that. And so that Heoka will come in and they haven't had food or water in 3 days. So they pour the water and the food and all that in front of them. And the ones that are dancing and tied to that tree have to stay focused. If they break their focus, then they need to leave and go back into the sweat lodge and start all over again
All
with
over
that
again.
process so that they can get back in the swing. So what it does is that's where we're at now. So with knowing and doing all those dances and being able to do that with my son, him and I doing this together, the one that just crossed, is so powerful. Now it's time for us to stand up and reunite and do this, because the men got to pass us back our medicine. And it
Yeah.
shows where the men's brain doing that dance on that third round with that Hueoka coming in, where their brains are. They developed now on both sides of their brains. Remember, they came from, anyway, there's a lot of stories that come from
There's a
that.
lot of stories there.
There's a
I
lot of
understand. I
stories from
understand.
that.
But I really respect the fact that you would share this much. Thank you so much for sharing this much. And as
Right. And
go ahead.
so with that, so with doing that dance, we honor that Heoka, because somebody's got to come up and give us a wake up call, and that's what
Right.
he's doing, and
Right.
showing us that we can stay focused, that we can still do our thing and not get
Sight.
distracted. And
And
so,
not.
if there's enough sun dancers out there, we got a big job to do, because we were taught, and that medicine was passed worldwide. The sun dance is all over the world. They
Mm-hmm.
even say when Jesus went out for 40 days, you know where he was? He was over here in the United States in the Turtle Island doing sun dances with all the indigenous people.
Mm,
Mm,
I love that.
I know. And it's like, no, so where we're at now in this time, we're in the 8th year of 1,000 years of peace, going into the 9th on June 16th. They were waiting, and the elders passed that back, and that's what we're working on. Well, of course we need crazy, or you could say we're in the third round of the dance, and now we're going
Right.
to go in the 9th and get a healing. So the sun dance shows us how to be Ikchewichashas, human beings, how to
Right.
walk in balance with each other. All the people on the outside get no sleep or food or nothing. They get to eat. All the people on the inside sleep all the time and get food and dance. And they got to hold that prayer. So that's the balance. And so what
Right.
those dances taught me and my son and the other people is that balance of how to walk in this great Mother Earth, and how to see everything's changing. Well, of course, we want things to change. It needs to grow. You can't put a seed in the ground and then say, oh, I'm sorry, you can't do that because you're disturbing me.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me? No, that's not how it works. Anyway, so that's basically what it is. And they've been
Thank
carrying
you.
that. Mm-hmm.
And then I want to talk a little bit about the fact that you said you came in with gifts. And I think that this is important because many of the younger and the children being born are coming in with gifts. We all have gifts. We all have gifts. And people who are afraid or in fear, or parents who are in fear of their children who have gifts, we have to have this conversation. I think it's really important for us to be able to have this conversation so that, number one, they are aware, people are aware that they're not the only ones who have a gift if they happen to be listening. Number two, that they shouldn't be in fear of it. They should not be in fear of it. And number three, it's okay to be able to stand in your power in your gift. Okay? In my family, my mom would talk about being able to speak to those on the other side and gleaning complete clarity of what she needed to do, how she needed to do, and speaking with Creator, and not allowing anything to disrupt that focus of going from point A to point B because Creator said this is the way it needs to be done. You know, being able to write and knowing that it was coming from a higher place than where it was. We all come with gifts. Talk a little bit about your gifts and what you felt your direction was to go with it.
That's a good question. Well, I agree with everything that you just said because we all came, we're old souls and we've all come back.
Yes.
And if there's a great book to read, The Great Cosmic Mother, I recommend people read that because it's the good history and it really explains a lot of the stuff. Daughters of Copper Woman is another one. That's a great book to read. All these things, all that we're doing right now is all part of that divine plan. And we're in this incredible time of 1,000 years of peace in the 8th year going into the 9th. I'll keep repeating that. So when we grew up, when I grew up, or when we grow up, we hear and see things. But then we had the men come in, and we had the Catholicism and all that. Well, those men need to be put somewhere safe. All those popes and bishops and all those guys over there in Europe, they needed to be put someplace safe so that their brain could develop on both sides and they could understand and hold that good energy. They had a job to do and they're still doing it. And it's an incredible job. So they're there in the safest place. Now, the other men came out and they all went to war and killing each other and doing all that. Again, part of the brain development. All of these things, it was just the development. It's like a plant growing. So that's where we've been throughout these thousands of years. And now we're at the stage where the children are coming in. They're old souls. Every single we're old souls. And they're even old, and they're old souls. I mean, we're just old souls, and they're all coming. They're dying and coming back as children, but they're coming back. They didn't get their time out is only a year or 9 months. It's short-lived. Trust me, it's very short-lived at this point in time. And so what we're doing is that knowledge is not gone. So we get to know and see all of that. And the whole deal right now is that we've got to walk in balance with these men, with these male brothers. And what's happening is that we're seeing it right now. If you look out, half the people are aware and the other half aren't. And this Heyoka is bringing in all this so that we can see that. But what we're doing with those men is that this whole thing's about brain development. And half of them, I'm saying 80% of them, I'm giving them big stuff here. And in this time period, they're completing the completion of developing both sides of their brains. In other words, they don't have to stop in the middle. They can work on think things both ways and be able to do it and walk in balance again with each other. That's what this is all about, is balance between each other. So the brains of the men and the brains of the women, and looking at all these beautiful things going on around the world, keeping up with this, and that Heyoka has to do his job because somebody's got to do it. It's part of it. So in the traditional way that I grew up was to understand how this all works together. Without the training and without doing all these sun dances, I would not have got this, because each moment is life-giving. Each moment tells us something and shows us something. It's incredible. I worked on the second version of the atomic bomb in Los Alamos on the land that my great-great-great-grandfather owned, Los Alamos, New Mexico. And I did that. And I'm thinking, well, if somebody would hypnotize me, I bet I could go back to that drawing and pull a wire. So there's all these things. And the men are standing up. I'm watching all this stuff going on. And it's so beautiful to see how people are standing up and going, we don't need to do this anymore. So that's a huge
Right.
change. So that's the developmental stage of these people. These young children are coming in and they are there. They're old, they're developed. And they will outthink us, outsmart us because they know how to do the computers, they know how to do all that. And it's just this incredible time we're in. It is so incredible because this has been predicted for thousands of years. And here we are in
Yeah.
that, and it's full developmental. It's all
And
about
you're absolutely right. They're coming in as old souls because they're coming in there like, I'm not loyal to one company, working my whole life, slave to 8 to 5, and this is all I can do, and this is all I'll ever be. I'm not loyal to, this is how I have to go, just, because it was, the system was set up this way, and you're just going to put me in the system, and I'm going to blindly follow into the system. And I love the fact that things are being questioned, things are being looked at, paradigms are being shifted, because the companies that want those things can't fill their lines with the children that are coming in, because the children are saying, I'm not working this way anymore. I'm not
we're
going
not doing this. No.
we're not going to do this.
So what Grandfather Wallace would say to me every time I'd say, BJ, I think, oh God, here we go. Right. That's what I go. Okay. Yes, Grandpa. It's like, okay, be nice. That's your elder. And he's passing medicine. He said, you life givers are the one that's going to bring in that 1,000 years of peace. That's my job. So that's my job, bringing in the 1,000 years of peace. I'm not the only one. You are too.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of us bringing this in. And it's all about walking in balance with the men now that their brains are developed on both sides. It's like these children are coming in super intelligent. So it's not going to be a long haul with them because we'll be able to balance each other immediately. And we're seeing that happen. And it is incredible. All the technology and all that, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. It's part of the journey. It's part of all that. All that stuff's been out there way before we were even thought of here on Earth.
Yeah.
And so there's so much.
You have to introduce us to Grandfather Wallace, because
he's gone.
Picture behind you, but behind you.
Oh, this is an elder. I don't know who it is. It could be Wallace, but he wrote Wallace Black Elk Speaks, his book, and he. Well, let me do this. I'll take the picture. I'll show you his picture, and people probably recognize it. Oh my God, I'm old. No, I'm not. Okay, this was Wallace. You see it?
Okay. Yes. Watch your thumb. I think it's just a little bit in front of it. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
I see it.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
That's Grandfather.
Okay.
And there's the Bear Nation. And then this is my elder, Buck Ghost Horse, who adopted my son.
Okay.
Anyway, there he is.
I'm going to actually turn my camera off, for my light off for a second. Excellent. I see him.
So that's the elders. And I have him hanging in the house because it works. Now, Grandfather Wallace, not only did he tell every time he saw me talk about the 1,000 years of peace, but what he did do was he had me make this star quilt. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
That's the eagle face forward, and the chanupas, the sacred pipes, the teepees, and this is a woman's star quilt, and it's the white eagle.
You have your finger right there. Okay, there you go. Now we can see it.
Okay, and there's 14 grandmothers on there. It took me 9 years to figure out how to make this star quilt. Okay, and if you look at it, it's the two teepees. So it's our moon lodge when we're bleeding, and then our non-moon lodge. And this is the balance. And the chanupa, the sacred pipes up there, are the feminine because it's the L shape. The men's have a little thing going out,
Okay. Yes,
but that's so. And then there's the otter. I mean, I could look at this forever. There's everything. And I'm still seeing things on here. The hummingbirds, the roses, all that stuff. So he had me do that. It took me 9 years to find it. 9 years. But because I did design work and I worked on computers and I knew how to do that, I was able to design that quilt that he showed me. And I I don't have the picture with me right now, but maybe another time I'll show you. I'll do something just about what he gave me, the little drawing he gave me. And that's what came out. So I've made over 1,000 star quilts looking for that. I have all kinds of patterns. I have star quilts out all over the world. And that's just a powerful way to be. And so with that quilt, that's what grandfather had me do, plus 1,000 years of peace, which this is this last part. And
so I noticed that you said on your quilt you had the 14 grandmothers, and typically I always hear the embracement of 13 for the 13 indigenous grandmothers, the 13 grandmothers, based on I'm going blank on her book, The Wisdom of the 13. But why 14?
Balance. 7 and 7. If you put 7 and 7, 7 years, 7 changes, everything is 7. So we have 7 and 7. But then when you put it together, what is that? 14?
14.
14. Okay. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9,
and I was thinking of Jamie Sams. That was the number I was trying
yes,
to
yes, yes, Jamie Sams.
Jamie Sams, because that's why I was like, everything is 13 with Jamie, you know?
Yeah. And for her, that's right, because 3 is the feminine and 1 is the masculine.
Exactly.
So 14. So 13. 13. So that gives us 4, which that's how she helped to bring in and set that balance and get the men. It's okay, guys. Your brain's developing. You're doing a good job. Lotta. And here we are in it again. It's just incredible. And I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 grandmothers here that I developed. Let's see if I can turn this around. And can you see that? You see those grandmothers?
Huh? Yes, they're beautiful.
So those are the grandmothers that I developed before I did that star quilt. Well, I'm trying to find what he had me do, you know, and it took a lot. Well, it took me, and then when I did it, I had the quilt and I wrap people in that quilt and they get well. It's not me.
Oh, it's the grandmother energy.
It's that energy in there, and it's powerful. And that white eagle and the bald eagle, one went with one of my daughters, my adopted daughters that crossed over. I wrapped her in that. No, I wrapped that on my daughter's father, whom him and I had a beautiful relationship, for when he crossed. Now, hopefully those people burned it with him, but who knows, you know. But I have to make another and get somebody else, teach other women how to make these quilts, because that star quilt medicine is so powerful. And that's what he said, you have to do this. So he passed me 3 bundles back for when the Europeans came here. The grandmothers passed their medicine to the men, and now the men need to pass it back so we can walk in balance. That's all. It's all about balance. That's it.
And the star cosmology is very, very powerful. Is there a particular star that you grasp the quilt based on, or just it had to have a star?
It's the 8-pointed star, which is very symbolic.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask.
It's the 28. It's the 28 spokes on the medicine wheel. The 28 spokes. So you look across and you got a person that knows we can exchange information like we're doing right now.
That's right.
But I got a person on the left and I got a person on the right. And then as we're facing in that 28 spoke wheel, they're the one facing each other from my left and my right and my right, right? Mm-hmm. They are like me facing the one I'm facing. So that whole star quilt has all that information in there. And that's how I came to understand and put it into a better perspective of understanding how that all comes together and works.
Okay. So share with us your role in bringing in the peace. What is it exactly have you been charged to do? Or if you can't say, it's okay.
My son. Not the one that crossed. This is the one that's still alive. He goes with me to all the ceremonies. He's my protector. Anyway, what? Ask the question again.
The aspects that are allowed to be stated out loud.
Okay.
I don't want to push.
Tell me again. But ask me the question again.
I asked what you were charged with for the piece, because
Oh,
I know that you keep repeating that, and I'm asking you what you're charged and what you're allowed to share with us.
well, as you noticed that if I didn't ask the question again, I wouldn't have shared anything.
Right.
But I asked the spirit while I was saying, what? Repeat it again. Can I share? Or put the words in my mouth, my spirit, let me know what I'm supposed to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm charged with, what I have to do is this is the biggest thing of all. So thank you so much for your podcast, because this is worldwide. And what my goal is, and the light just flashed, so there you go, is to do the Hailstone Dreamers dance.
Okay.
And in those Hailstone Dreamers is it's 9 women, 9 men, 9 grandmas, 9 grandpas, 9 wives, 9 husbands, 9 teenage boys, 9 teenage girls, 9 little boys and 9 little girls, and 9 women and 9 men. It's this huge dance with and all of those people have to be trained how to do this dance.
Wow.
And it's worldwide.
Okay.
You want to see them? Let me show you. Might as
Yeah.
well get it out there. Let me show you. I don't know if you noticed when we went there before. Okay. If you look up, let me get here. Sit down. See them? There they are.
Yes, I do. I do.
Those are the Hailstone Dreamers. Oh, there we go. Right there. Can you see them?
Yes, I can.
So what came to me on my second year of sun dancing was that first one with the white polka dots, the woman, and then the rest came every year after.
Okay.
So that's what we got to do. That's all those people that are going to do this dance. We got the eagle quilt here, all these things. I'm teaching people, women, how to make the star quilts. Throughout that, send donations to the reservations so that they can get some centers over there and get clean and sober and blah, 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 blah. But you can't change what you don't understand. So if those children and all those people are there doing drugs and alcohol, they have to. Because how are they going to change? How are they going to help other people change if they've not been the change themselves?
Exactly.
So when we look at things, the way I look at things is I don't look at it from a negative point of view. I look at it from the both sides, because it's two-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's freaked out about Trump being in there. So, well, you should have changed. You had the last chance and you didn't. So here we are. Wake up. Hello. But it's all part of this healing. And here you and I are talking. Luis talked to me before. He called and we talked, and he said he can't wait to meet you and all this stuff. And I said, we're on this mission. It's so powerful. What a gift. So my mission is to bring this Hailstone Dreamer dance to the people.
And I've been working to do. And that's a lot of work, but that's what we need to do.
It's all the people. It's not just the United States or this Turtle Island.
Right.
Or it's all of us coming together, and all of us life givers have been waiting patiently for the men to develop both sides of the brain. That's all this is. It's the developmental stage. It's all it is. And when we look at it from how a child comes and the children and how we go through all those phases of development,
right,
that's all we've been doing.
Right.
It's not complicated. It's not political. It's not any of that. It's just like putting a seed in the ground and covering it. You can put the seed in the sand. It may not grow there. It needs to be in the moisture where it needs to be.
And it needs to develop, and it grows, and it's a sapling, and then it's a blossom, and then it comes to full lotus, for example.
That's it. Right, exactly. Right. So it's so powerful. And I sit here, and my son, and I rearranged, I pulled my room back together. And now it's my sewing room. Only sewing will be done here in this room. And then my other room, only the arts and crafts and paintings, stuff like that will be done in there. And my bedroom is where the medicine is. It's all over this house, but that's my room. And anybody wants to come stay, they can sleep on the floor on an air mattress. I'm not doing this anymore. But so what I got from that, we walk our journey, we walk our sacred path, we walk the bundles that have been passed to us. That's what we do. And in doing that, then we develop our own things and we learn to listen. That spirit talks to us all the time.
Yes.
But they also are smart enough to give us a timeout because they know we're dealing with this human brain. We're not spirits anymore, but the spirit is within us. So we're learning how to walk in balance in both worlds. So they've been teaching us. You younger people coming in have the blessing of not having to go through what I went through, or us older women. So they said the life givers, us older women, are the ones bringing in this 1,000 years of peace. Well, I look out there and I'm thinking, let's see, how can I say this? I'm not going to say that. Wake up. So all the people in my age range, and I'm 78 years old, and my mother was the first woman. She was born in 1905, and she was all about, if you don't date a man that shoes ain't clean, don't go with them, blah, 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 the 19th Amendment, all kinds of stuff, you know, very, very much. And of course, she followed her vision. But the bottom line is, we have got to stand up and stop fooling around and do our work and walk in this beauty way in balance and love these men, because they are developing both sides of their brain.
Right.
And when you look at a little boy or a little girl that's in that developmental state, it's very confusing. Oh, don't you dare, don't hold on to the table if you're walking. Oh, wait a minute. Come here, baby. You can do it. Stand up and walk to me. You know, which one are we going to give? Hold on to something or stand up and walk to me? So that's where we're at. We're standing up and walking towards it.
And it's important to walk our truths. I mean, you know, you're walking your truth. And, you know, I sit here and I think about what it is that I've been trying to do. And really, you know, like I have my classes and stuff, and really everything is designed to wake up. Wake up. Wake up from the dormancy, wake up from the distractions, wake up from, you know, the personality distractions. Oh, I'm anxious. You're not anxious. You know, that's something that you adopt. That's a trait, but you don't have to be anxious. You know, oh, I'm addicted. That's a distraction. Why are you numbing yourself? What is it that you're afraid of? What is it that we are afraid of in order to live? We got to wake up from all of the different distractions. And then the distractions that are being put upon us, right? Because now, can you go to a checkout line without seeing a television in front of you? Can you go to a gas and pump your gas without the radio blasting? Everything, those moments of silence where you would have clarity, just moments of silence of doing your daily thing, are being distracted with noise. So to be able to just catch a moment, and you're digging in the garden, you have clarity when you're digging in the garden. Your hands are in Mother Earth, you're playing with the dirt, and you have clarity. And we got to get back to some of those things too that give us that clarity so that we can wake up. And, you know, I spend so much time telling and sharing with people that everything that you're looking for is already inside you, already here. Stop looking outside of you for it. It's here, it's in here. Pause, take a moment, come within, sit still, breathe, clarity, you know?
So with all of that, so here we are, and we're the ones, us life givers my age, are the ones that are bringing in the 1,000 years of peace. Well, I look around and I'm thinking, well, you don't want to know what I'm thinking. And I look at them and I think 90% of the older women my age and older are in rest homes taking medication. Okay. So that tells me, and I have to look at it from a non-judgmental place. I mean, I look at all the way around. But what it is, it's saying those are the ones that are showing that they're only here to hold space. That's all they're here for.
Okay.
That's positive. So we can't look at things from a negative point of view. We got to look at it and find the positive in everything that we see, because two negatives make a positive.
Okay.
Makes the circle, doesn't it?
It makes the circle.
It
Yes, it
sure
does.
does.
You
And
know,
there's 4 quadrants, right? Yeah, it's like
yeah,
awesome. So
yes.
then us women that have to do the work we're doing, we're waiting on you younger ones to come in, and us having this conversation is a blessing because you understand what the hell I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. You talked to me, and when we met, I loved it because you're saying, "Oh, you're a young grandmother," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I understand, I respect, and I'm there, and I know what I have to do, and I have to give platform to you. I have to give
I love
platform to you. This is what it's all about,
it.
you
I know.
know. This
So
makes
with this,
sense."
I got goosebumps all over me. So with doing this, all this stuff that happened, my son going, coming, he's coming back. I've got his picture here, what he's going to look like when he comes back, this beautiful little girl. And when I was flying to San Cristobal to do the rosaries, because that's part of my heritage and to understand all that stuff. And that rosary is 90% Virgin Mary, Mother. And she was the last life giver to create life in her womb without any help. She said
Okay.
that was my commitment. So really understand our history, and I recommend women start understanding your history to understand how powerful. But we've been dealing, and every mother should understand how you deal with the boys. If you
Honey,
understand how to raise a boy, get your shit together and start helping us raise. And these men are starting to wake up. We can see all this crazy, crazy go. Look at the world; they're all standing up. I'm like impressed as hell. I'm thinking, yeah.
yeah.
Right. Come on, boys. Come on. You can do it because we got a lot of work to do ahead of us. And
Mhm.
so it's so freaking incredible where we are and what a gift we're here. So when I went to San Cristobal and we did all the rosaries, I got and I put, it was just beautiful. I got so much information. And when I was walking back from Guadalupe Church from putting prayer ties in the
Okay.
thing rather than the rosary. I did my thing. It's what I do. I respect that. But I got so much information. And coming down, I stopped and I had to go to the bathroom and I got a cup of coffee. And then the next place I walked by, there's 2 drums. And I walk in there and I said hello to the young man and we got to talking. I said, yeah, my son just crossed. He was a sun dancer, an eagle dancer. And he says, oh, I'm a sun dancer. I'm going to dance my 6th year this summer. I said, of course I came into the store. Of course I'm talking to you. Of course, thank you. I know I need to do the dance. That was my whole answer. And I thought, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So if we just stop and listen, we all get timeouts. I mean, we get lots of timeouts. I'm doing a
Yes.
Trump thing here. We all get timeouts. You know why he does that, don't you? He's
No, I don't, because I
he's
don't watch
wanting to
television.
he's wanting to nurse. Anyway, okay. So as we're doing all these, what heals everything? Humor.
It does.
Humor heals everything. So anyway, I said, okay, it's time to go home. I'm going back, and all the dogs everywhere. And I said, oh God, I got to go. I need to go back. So I came back, and I had this woman staying here at my house. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. She came in and left and pulled. She was here for a little bit. She pulled all the negative energy out of this house and off this sacred land that I live on.
Beautiful.
What a job. I bless her heart for having that job. We always have vacuum cleaners all over. They really suck up the shit and they suck up
Yes.
all the crap, right? And
Yes.
we as human beings, we all came in with a job assignment.
Yes,
Every
we
one
did.
of us.
Every
Every
one
one
of
of us, men and women. But the life givers, we've been patiently waiting. That sweat lodge shows the men how they can, so they can feel like giving birth and understand that process. That
us. Hmm.
Sundance also teaches us everything we need to know. So the 700 years here of the crazy crazy had to happen so that they could have all the people of the world understand everything's laid out in front of us. And those priests over there in the Vatican and all that, we need to put those men there where they were safe so that they could write all this history, so they could understand the development of both sides of the brains. We put them in a safe because they've all would have been killed had they not been there.
Okay.
So it's like read these different books, understand our history, and that's the one thing that my elders passed back to me, and they passed them on us. Remember teach the history, because everything lies in that. Know your history, and then you'll know what's coming, and don't be afraid. I have sacred bundles all over the world that I've asked women when they travel here, can you go put that in a cave? Can you go put
Yeah.
that on the ground? Can you go put that by this? Yeah, they're all over. So
I love it. I love it. And my thing is I greet the water everywhere I am in the world. I have a relationship with water, and I greet the water and I give back its gifts and it gives back to me.
exactly, exactly. And so with all the journey I've been on, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And what they said to me, I asked my daughter last night, I said, can I have some of my, I want to get some of my son's ashes. And she wouldn't give them to me.
Mm.
I was thinking, and I thought, okay, don't get twisted. There's a reason for that. Just don't worry about it. And so I processed through that. So what we're getting is timeouts for things that are hitting us, right? And so
Right.
we take that time out, but then, and when once we rest and we have our coffee and go to the bathroom and do whatever we do, then we come back together, and the spirit shows us, and now we're in balance. And what's that? Both sides of the brain working
Both
together.
sides.
There you go, right there. So when, and then you put your arms and you're all, oh God, now I'm in the center. So they said, you need to do something else. Don't worry about it. So everything, like the lady that was here that took all that energy with her. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. She didn't know she was doing that. I didn't know she was doing that. And I couldn't figure out why. I heard in my ear, have her stay. And I'm thinking, and then I went to Mexico, and then all the dogs there, seeing all the dogs, they wanted me to stay. I could have stayed. I thought, well, I don't know a lot of people here. Yeah, the La Condone's closed, but I'm not ready to go there yet. The lady came from over there in Europe that's a water person that goes all over, Lewis's friend, I can't remember her name. And so she was around the corner from where I was, and we went the next day to the cave, and my heart got healed. She healed my heart with just walking through the cave.
Beautiful.
That water lady. And then again, here I am talking to another water person. I'm fire.
I am.
I'm fire. Sagittarian.
Okay.
Okay. Fire. And then that arrow, and I use my
water and earth.
Yeah, and that horse's ass that I carry in the head of a, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I hate to do this. We're coming up
we
on
gotta
an
go.
hour. It's such
Perfect.
a phenomenal conversation. One of the things I would be remiss if
Mm.
I didn't say how great a blessing it must have been to be taught by Black Elk. I can't even imagine what a blessing that was.
Okay, so it was Black Elk, Wallace Black Elk, Buck Ghost Horse, grandmother Share Bear, grandmother Gloria Bigback, last of the Cheyenne Shanty women, grandmother Raven, which became my adopted mother.
Okay.
I was blessed with the most incredible Martin Highbear. I was blessed with the most incredible, incredible elders, and they all passed the medicine to me.
Beautiful.
And I'm here to pass it to all of us to wake up. And what you're doing here is incredible. And this is me stepping up and saying, okay, I'm ready to do my work. Yeah. And I'm ready. And thank you. And I'm happy to come and visit with you anytime. I will be
watching. Absolutely welcome to come and visit anytime. As things come to fruition for you and you need a platform to speak, you know that you're always welcome here. As a fellow grandmother to another grandmother, I honor you. I honor you.
So this is the medicine, and it's the two lightning bolts, the male and the female walking in balance. It's awesome. Walking in balance. And that's all we're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we let you go? If anyone wanted to reach out to you, do you have contact information or anything that you want to put forward? If not, they can always go through me to reach you.
Right. Email?
Yeah, that's fine.
However, but through you works, because then that way we do more work together.
Okay.
If they come through you, then we're working. I know, you notice how I sneak you in?
Yes,
I do that with a lot of people. So, but it's all part of this sacred journey that we're all on together. And we're in the 8th year, going into the 9th year. June 16th of 1,000 years of peace. And I tell women, think about when you decide to clean a room. It's total chaos all over the place, but that room's empty and you can see every crack and crevice that needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This was Grandmother BJ. And I'm so grateful for you to be here. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for just your presence, and what you shared is so important. And I'm going to ask my audience, please share this. Please share this with those who need to hear it. And, if you like what you heard, subscribe, because we will have her back. And this has been another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. We thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.